Here's an update on my Philco 15DX project. I've removed the chassis to make it easier to work on those veneer repairs. I've got the base material glued down. Now I'm working on cutting out a strip of veneer that will match the grain as closely as possible and fit tightly against this edge, and I'll leave a little bit of an overhang until it's glued down and then very carefully trim this out. I've also removed one of the side doors, and as you can see the radio's out, but this remains behind, and all the controls and whatnot are on the chassis, which I've got over here. So here's a quick overview. There's the power transformer, filter choke, big old 80 globe rectifier, a couple electrolytic filter capacitors. Here's the tuning control and the huge banked tuner. It has 4 large capacitor sections that rotate. And here's that tuning dial with the call signs written in pencil on it. And here's that shadow mask tuning indicator. Here's a light source for it. I guess the light bulb's missing, and I believe this would shine through the back. And inside that, I guess the light would go through this hole, and inside here I believe is a meter movement and the front gloves. I've never actually seen one of these working. I just read about them online, so it's going to be really interesting to work on. I really hope the meter movement's okay, otherwise could be a little bit tough to track down a replacement for it. Here's the tone control, which is actually a 3-position switch that switches in a different RC combination to filter the audio output. Here's the volume control. It's a pretty stiff rheostat, and the power control is just a I can't even turn without the knob being on, but it's just a simple on-off switch. Here's the IF stages and associated tubes, which are normally under this steel shield. These connectors on top are for the grid for each tube, I believe, and these cans are the IF transformers. So that's quite a few stages of amplification, which is pretty unusual for a radio this old, which accounts for its high cost. It's final IF stage and detector. I guess they felt the need to put a shield on that tube. And here's the final output stage. I put in a couple ST type 42s. And finally the audio output transformer, which leads to this cable and this rusted mess, which was the old speaker connector. I'll have to rewire that, of course. And here's a look underneath. Okay, there we go. These resistors are what I referred to earlier as a dog bone resistor. I found a cool article online about how to replace those when you use modern resistors, which don't look like this at all anymore. There's a technique where you can take out one of these and actually form a 2-piece mold using plaster, I believe. Once you have the mold, you put the new modern resistor, which is much smaller, inside that mold and fill it in with I forget what exactly they use. I think it might have been wood filler or some other type of compound that can set up and encapsulate the new resistor. When it's dried, you pop it out, you paint it up yellow, red, brown, and yeah, it looks great. Now inside each of these blocks here is a capacitor or 2 or 3. It's a little Bakelite box with the components inside, and it's filled with tar. I've rebuilt a couple of these. It's doable, not a lot of fun, but it's certainly doable. Basically, you heat it up, melt out the tar, loosen up the leads, pull out the old components, put new components in, pack it back with suitable material. Here's a couple other interesting old-style capacitors up here and up here. Cool thing about this set is all of these are the original components. It looks like no work has ever been done on this radio. Another neat thing is here is a light bulb socket for I believe about a 30-watt bulb that would actually light up the speaker enclosure down in here. The light bulb would go up above in there. Also never seen that working, but I'm really curious to see how that goes. So as you can see, this stuff is really old and all these components are questionable, so I wouldn't dare think about plugging this in, especially because of this, the old wiring. The old power cord's not even here anymore, and this is all cloth covered wiring, which is deteriorating. Here's a door removed. They call it a tambour, I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly, door, which is comprised of slats of nicely veneered wood curves on it with a, I believe it's a burlap backing, so it's a curve. And I can see why this side was really sticky and not moving too well, because there's supposed to be a metal pin, one at this end, but it's missing on the other end. So you know, now that I've got it out, I can clean it up a bit. There's a couple minor spots of deterioration or missing lacquer. I'll just re-lacquer that up, and I think the backing's in pretty good shape. Otherwise, I may need to replace some of this burlap and find a replacement for this metal pin. Pop it back in. Oh, and lubricate this up. Maybe some wax, or I think Howard's makes a suitable spray lubricant, and hopefully the door will slide a lot better. Over the weekend, maybe I'll try putting on that veneer, and I'll show you how it goes.